this very interesting panel because this is all about our city, which is where we live in and where we thrive. We have with us Mr. Sabarna Roy, who's a corporate leader by day, but is currently writing his 9th literary work, an epistolatory novel. Well, that's one of my favorite genres, and I'm going to have questions for that. Vibha, who's an old friend, she wears a lot of hats, actually, and it's difficult to kind of sum it up all, but she's recently published a book, Odds and Ends, which is a journal presenting reflections on Kolkata and the world. Fabulous, Vibha. But for me, she's always somebody who's stood up for marginalized communities that she works with, and she's the eternal storyteller because she runs a beautiful lifestyle store called Kissa, and she's come up with something called Kissa Buddy, which is into customized shopping experience. Don't we want to shop all in Calcutta? And starting from the NRIs to all of us, we need our puchkas, we need our accessories, everything on the road. That's how Kolkata thrives. We have with us Prajwal Parajuly, whose novel and anthology of short stories focus on the experiences of the Nepali diaspora. His works have been widely recognized and shortlisted for a number of international prizes. We met Prajwal briefly before, but I'm glad that I can interact with him today. Welcome to the panel, Prajwal. We have with us Suchandra Roychowdhury, duly introduced me to my friend who's an art curator, Shonok. She's almost 20 years of teaching experience, and her first novel is The Shotgun Wedding. Suchandra lives in Singapore at the moment, but she transits between Singapore and Calcutta. We have with us Marina Samuel. My sister, who's a special educator at IICP, has been speaking very highly of you since morning. She's been talking to me since morning that you better be nice with Marina. I said, I'm nice with everyone. I mean, I'm not nasty at all. Marina Samuel has recently written and published an uplifting autobiography, Up the Ladder, Step by Step, which tells his story of coping with life's challenges while being specially abled. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for the panelists this afternoon. সবার জন্য একটা বড় করে হাততালি। আজকের কলকাতা নিয়ে আমরা যে আলোচনাটা করব, এই আলোচনা এগিয়ে নেওয়ার জন্য এরা সবাই এখানে এসেছেন এবং আপনাদের সঙ্গে আমরা কথা বলবো আমাদের প্রিয় শহর নিয়ে। ধন্যবাদ। I guess, I hope those microphones are working. Can I begin with Marina? Hi, Marina. I'm not read the autobiography as yet. I will. But tell me, how does it feel to be embraced by Kolkata?
It feels very nice, and when it is very, I am very, I like Kolkata is one of my favorite places.
Okay.
And it's my home, it's like my home. And I got many opportunities from here, starting from the school, IICP, Indian Institute of
Cerebral Palsy. Yeah.
So I completed all my education there, and they helped me to become what I am today.
Wow, that's very interesting. That's so fabulous, ladies and gentlemen. আমাদের শহর কিন্তু আমাদের তৈরি করে দেয় অনেক প্রতিকূলতার জন্য. The city brings us up to face new challenges, hones us, brings us new skill sets to face the world outside. And Marina is one of them, and a true fighter in spirit. We'll come back to you, Marina, very soon. Suchandra, আমরা একটু বাংলায় কথা বলি কারণ দর্শকও বাঙালি রয়েছেন এখানে। তুমি অনেক বছর ধরে সিঙ্গাপুরে রয়েছো, তুমি পড়াও এবং তুমি একটা নতুন বইও লিখেছো যেটা আমি পড়বো খুব শিগগিরই। আমাকে একটা কথা বলো, তুমি যখন বই লিখতে শুরু করো কলকাতা তো এটা তো একটা সাহিত্য উৎসব, তাই আমরা দেখবো যে সাহিত্যের সঙ্গেও আমরা এই শহরের যে প্রাণজোয়ার সেটাকে কি করে সম্পৃক্ত করে তুলতে পারি। উইল ট্রাই অ্যান্ড align the life force of the city with the literature. Tell me, how does the city inspire you in literary works for you as an author?
For me, Kolkata is not just a geographic location.
Okay.
It is more of the spirit of the city, which kind of rages in your veins. Even if you're out of Calcutta, you cannot really take Calcutta out of a Bengali spirit. So you keep coming back. You look for inspiration in the darkest of times, in the brightest of times. It is all there. And for me, when I began writing, I was not really writing about Singapore. I was writing about Calcutta. I was revisiting the city in my dreams, in my inspirations, in the memories that I had of the city. And that really helped me to write. And maybe there's also this adage that you write what you know. Don't write what you don't know. That is like, you will be wrong over there. I don't have those experiences. So I dug deep into my experiences of Calcutta, my teaching experience in the colleges of Calcutta, and that is where the book comes from.
Nice.
It might have been a dark phase, but I have tried to make it hilarious.
Okay.
So it is a kind of ironical twist on certain situations.
Fabulous. I understand that Kolkata has been your favorite city. You thrive by it. Coming to Sabarna, we're almost living in after COVID, it almost feels like a new world, a new city. Because we have not been out for the last 2 years, as in out like this. A lot of us are not wearing masks, a lot of us are wearing masks. A lot of us are waiting in anticipation whether I want to wear a mask and look fashionable or not, or unfashionable. But the idea is, you being also representing a part of the corporate Calcutta, how has, because, Sabarna, what a lot of us, I'm 44 years old, I worked with the corporate sector for many years to earn my bread and whiskey, but I do something else now. But you still work in the corporate sector. How has the corporate Calcutta evolved, and how has it inspired you?
Well, I have worked in Calcutta all along.
If you could take the microphone a little closer to you. Yes, thank you.
I have worked in Calcutta all along since 1988 when I joined the corporate sector after my university education. Well, especially during the COVID times, we have gone through very rough period because I come from an engineering manufacturing sector.
Right.
While for us demand was not a key issue or a concerning issue, but logistics was. And because of the logistics initially during the first lockdown, we lost a lot of money. But I would say because of the imagination, innovation and intuition of the 15,000 workforce that we have in our plants, we could spring back to 90% efficiency within 3 months of the lockdown, when the average, the best performance sector was 80%. We did around 90%. So that was quite inspirational to say. You see, I mean, our headquarters and corporate sector, I mean, in my company, I come from Electro Steel Castings Limited.
Right.
The headquarters has been Kolkata
That's right,
all
yes.
along.
Thank God
our
for that.
plants
Yeah.
and our plants have been in and around Kolkata, in Kharda, Haldia and Bajberia. We have a plant now in Chittoor district of Andhra Pradesh as well, Elavur in Tamil Nadu. But we have sprung back, and that's plainly because of the hard work, sincerity, intuition, innovation and imagination of the workforce that we have, frankly, yes.
Thank you. I'll come back to you with more disturbing questions about the corporate sector, which we are often accused of. But before that, I'd like to talk to my friend, whom I'm seeing after a long, long time. Hi, Vibha.
Hi.
Vibha, tell us your kissas about Calcutta.
So Calcutta is a place where I was born, brought up. I've lived here all my life. And I think it's very cliche to say that it's a city of joy because we all know the warts and everything and we tend to accept it and take it in our stride. And when you think of Calcutta, the usual memes pop up. You think of the Victoria Memorial and the Howrah Station. And you think of the potholes. But Calcutta is so layered and one doesn't think of it. So Calcutta gets its identity from the many communities, the colonial heritage that we have of all the European settlers who came here, the Portuguese, the Dutch, the French, the British. They've all left their mark on Calcutta.
Right.
We have the Babu culture, the Boxwala culture, which is there in the clubs even now.
Yes.
And Calcutta is a city where, it's a city of the educated, where education first came. It is a city where Reformation first took place with Ram Mohan and Viveka and Vidyasagar. And also the freedom movement, it's a cradle for the freedom struggle. So I think all this has lent us our character. And, we are quick to rise to a cause and we have this laid-back Babu, Boxwala culture. So Calcutta is multi-layered and I think it's one of the only cities in the world which has every kind of a place of worship, be it Chinese, Jewish, Armenian. We have a Methodist church, Catholic, Protestant. So you can imagine the rich diversity of the population and the people who live here.
Wow.
So that's the beauty of Calcutta, who are integrating and, we are kind of meeting. I have a Parsi friend, a Bengali. So
I'm inspired. I think I have to look for more cosmopolitan dates in Calcutta, which I have not been exposed to. But that's great to hear.
That's the fun of being in Calcutta.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous. Coming to Prajwal, will you? Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Prajwal, tell me something. You have been writing about a completely different diaspora, and of course, it's fascinating and also a discovery for readers as far as your body of work is concerned. What is interesting is I want to know, how does this city feature in your life and your work?
Thank you, Sujoy. So I'm from Gangtok, Sikkim.
Oh, lovely.
Like a lot of people from the Eastern Himalayas, Calcutta hasn't really been a muse for me for a very long time. In fact, it was a bit of an anti-muse. But then between the years of 2015 and 2020, I actually lived in Calcutta for a few months of the year. And what a revelation it was. I used to, pre-living in Calcutta, I used to think of the ridiculousness of 5 different kinds of fish being served on a dinner table. And then it took me a few months of living here to realize your culinary traditions. How amazing is it that Calcutta is probably the only city in the country where to say that you're a poet is not to be ironic. It's perfectly okay for you to say, yes, I'm a poet.
Of course.
And so what have you been doing with your life the last 3 or 4 years? Oh, I've been dabbling with writing, dancing, this and that. How does the city figure in my writing? So far, it hasn't. My first 2 books were about the Himalayan world, but I am working on a new book where the city figures prominently, and I hope the book sees the light of day someday. But I do think Calcuttans have a tendency to take the city for granted. It's a unique city. You were talking about the club culture here, Vibha. There was a time I went to the Tolly Club wearing shorts, and of course the club has a ridiculous dress. Okay, I'm not even going to get into that. I was wearing shorts, but one of the waiters very kindly told me I wouldn't be allowed into the restaurant. I think it was the Belvedere.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so I told him, well, solution kya hai to? So he simply procures a pair of trousers from somewhere, and I go into the bathroom, put them on, and, you know, that's, to me, that encapsulates the spirit of Calcutta in so many ways.
No, I understand.
You have these ridiculous rules, but then, you know, you sort of say, all right.
Yeah, that's a bit of the colonial. Well, we call it a hangover, but that's okay. We all have our own little rules here, and that's what we thrive by. But thank you very much for talking about the anti-Muse and the Muse. With Dr. Sudha Kaul and Iti in the audience, two of them represent two different kinds of the city for me. It's actually brings me to Marina with something that আমাদের এই শহরটার মধ্যে নানান রকম শহর লুকিয়ে থাকে. So in our city, we have different cities that we build. I want to come to Marina with something that it's not fancy to ask you this question. Please pardon me if I kind of cross over a margin. But have you actually faced discrimination being specially abled in Calcutta?
Yeah, it is due to lack of awareness. People of Kolkata are very nice people, very nice. But it is due to the lack of awareness that the gap of acceptance for disability is dead.
That's absolutely brilliant. Can we put a big round of applause for that? That is exactly what Calcutta is all about. Kolkata is accepting. It has a high degree of acceptance. Yes.
I would like to say that there are many places where people like us, like disability, we cannot go there due to the access problem. Therefore, the friendship with people to know us better is lacking. This is in every public places and or in every buildings. The lifts of the building are very narrow.
Absolutely.
So suppose if one of us has a friend with disability, especially if they are wheelchair user, they cannot go to meet their friends. So we would like to have access, and we would like buildings to have a future plan keeping in mind the visits of the disabled people so that everybody could find every disabled people in every ceremonies.
That is an absolutely brilliant concern that you've put forward in front of all of us who live in Calcutta, where accessibility is a big issue. My mother, whom I lost last year, she had a knee problem and she lived. She couldn't come out of the house, and I couldn't even take her out to watch a film, because most of the malls do not have accessible ramps where we can take people inside an auditorium. I mean, in spite of they being physically and mentally alert about a lot of other things. That's true. But, Marina, my question, or what I'm very curious about, and I'm going to ask this to every one of you in the panel, because the city kind of empowers you to a greater degree. Yes, there is a lot of acceptance, but the city empowers you with a lot of other things. Has the city empowered you?
Yes, and the city has empowered me by welcoming me at places. Like when I went for job, people used to accept me, they used to talk to me, but it needed some time for them to know me.
Right.
This is because disabled people are not so common
I know.
everywhere.
I understand. I
Due
understand.
to
Very
the-
well said, Marina. Thank you so much. Coming to Suchandra, you know, I have a different question for you. I'll come to that empowerment later. But tell me something. Prajwal, you know, said something which is very important, that being a poet is not ironic. Being a poet in Calcutta is like breathing air. But I know a lot of my friends who have started out as authors but has not been able to sustain the profession in Calcutta, but has taken to other occupation to support that passion that they have. Do you, have you faced the same brunt? Because you still teach. Is it for a vocation or a living, or you know, you just want to do it, but also to support what you do as a passion?
I have been teaching for a long time now, so that is also a part of my passion because I love to
Okay.
be with my students.
Lovely.
You know, the interaction between
Have you
the-
ever taught in Calcutta?
Yes.
Okay.
I have been in Rani Bila Girls College for a long time. Then
Nice.
after that, I was in Lady Brabourne.
Okay.
After which, I got my CSC placement, which took me to the outskirts of the city, where I had this strange experience, and that is the starting point of this book.
So,
yeah.
so what was his experience?
So I was posted in a college. I
Where?
was the first. It was somewhere near Falta.
Polta.
Diamond Harbour.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was teaching English literature
Okay.
in a college which did not have even English as a past subject.
Right.
So they only had compulsory English. There was no college building, and it was a hilarious ride. So yeah, facts, fiction, imagination, memories, and then
Nice.
obviously fabulation. So you actually have to be in a situation where you are interacting with people, because I personally get to know a lot from my students. It is
Right.
not only me thinking and fabricating ideas. So I need to be in that classroom. And I write, this is the first book I wrote. So, yeah.
And if we take the facts out of fiction, coming to your growing up in Calcutta, how did it, how was it like? Did the city empower you or disappoint you?
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, the city is multi-layered. It has so many layers.
That's right.
Even now, after I came last week.
Yes.
So I tried to get hold of the Armenian part of the city.
Nice.
I visited the Armenian church, established in 1707.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I could not enter. We need a little bit of heritage healing for this city. There are so many, it's like a treasure trove, but there is a little bit of gap between the maintenance.
Abhijitadi, we need more clones of Jointata in the city. We need more
Yeah,
clones
yeah,
of Jointata for sure.
We
Yes.
need to have access to the oldest parts of the city.
This is exactly a very, very salient point for all of us to talk about at some point of time in the Literature Festival. Maybe that heritage in this city can be a muse for so many artists. Although as an anchor, I'm not going to talk about my own achievements, but I started a concept of immersive theatre in local houses in the southern fringes of the city where I live. So, you know, heritage houses or buildings are not just for gallery viewing or tourist hotspots. No. They have to, the government, the state government, the central government has to understand that we need more artists' spaces in the city. More spaces to talk about architecture, to talk about heritage. They cannot be just one person doing one job. It rests on all of us to make our city a true muse for the world. Coming back from there, Suchandra, what I wanted to ask you also is the alarming rate of violence against women in the city, in Kolkata. Have you actually faced situations teaching here where you've been subject to some kind of humiliation, harassment?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. So yeah, I can't speak about that part because generally wherever I've worked, beautiful environments actually. I
Fine.
have generally taught at girls' colleges, so maybe rather tame creatures, all of us. So yeah,
That's a
really.
stereotype. That's a
Not-
stereotype.
Yeah, I have functioned within the stereotypes.
Okay,
Gone
you
out
did.
of the stereotypes also, so no.
Fabulous. No, great. সাবর্ণ এই মাঝে মাঝেই আমাকে কলকাতার বাইরের বন্ধুরা বলে যে কলকাতায় লোকেরা খুব আনপ্রফেশনাল, মানে আনপ্রফেশনাল নয়, আনপ্রফেশনাল। হ্যাঁ, আমরা ভীষণ কুঁড়ে, আমরা এখনও দুপুরবেলা দোকান টোকান বন্ধ হয়ে যায় 2 থেকে 5টা। না, সেটা বিদেশের অনেক দোকানেও, বিদেশের অনেক শহরেও হয়, দুপুরবেলা দোকান বন্ধ থাকে, সেটা বড় কথা নয়। কিন্তু the generic feeling or the bias, we can't break the bias here. It's not women empowerment what we are talking about here. But why is this view of Kolkata being a generally an unprofessional city? Or you would say something different?
Well, I personally don't think that Kolkata is an unprofessional city, because I think intellectually, empathy-wise, which are all the hallmarks of being a professional.
Can you bring the microphone a
Yeah,
little closer?
sorry.
Thank you.
I think the intellectual work and empathy-wise, which are all the hallmarks for being professional, starts from Kolkata as well. I'll tell you, in our case, we brought in a technology to India for the first time in 1994. And today we are the 3rd biggest player in the world after a company in France and after a company in China. So where is the question of being unprofessional? I don't know. But there has been a conspiracy against Kolkata done by the promoters of Kolkata Industries themselves, just to reduce competition within and Kolkata and around, with the help of the politicians here. I'll be very frank with you. So, but you have institutions like, long heralded institutions. We are going into the 3rd generation of ownership with our own company. CSC is there. These kind of institutions are there in Kolkata itself. So I don't think unprofessionalism is something which should bother us much. But one of the things that I must tell you, which I tackled in my book, 3rd book, which is a crime thriller, Abyss, that in West Bengal, most of the land is for agriculture. So whether you will use land for agriculture or whether you will use land for industry is a question that has to be solved within the presence of West Bengal, because that's a major issue, because people keep on saying that industries are not coming to Calcutta, or for that matter West Bengal. But why industries are not coming to West Bengal, that has to be gone into depth only to be able to understand why so.
Yeah, why do you think it is that? Why do you think?
I think, you see, one of the critical factors was this, that, I should not be tagged with any political ideology over here, but I think in 2011, first time when the nano factory was brought by the Tatas in 2007 in Singur, it was brought in a land which had 3 rounds. Sorry. Hello? Yeah. 3 rounds of farming in a year. Now, whether you will use that land for agriculture or whether you use that land for industry is a question to be resolved by the people of the state, the local people. It cannot be decided by politicians or industrialists only. So this is something which needs to be resolved, and the people need to be more and more empowered. So 2011, I'm neither a supporter of the left front or the Trinamool regime, but I'm saying that something was brought to the forefront which is being studied in German universities today, whether land would be for agriculture or whether land would be for industries. And you cannot resolve this question so easily. So this is an underlying question. which is there and which will remain in the context of West Bengal. I'll give you a small example. Whenever you used to travel by train from Delhi, because I was brought up in Ludhiana, we would come by Rajdhani Express, and whenever we were in Bengal, we knew that, you know, we were in Bengal already because it was moist and green. It was lush green. So while we would read Ruposhi Bangla and at the same time dream of industries, this dichotomy needs to be solved somewhere. So that is the question I'm bringing forth here.
Thank you. That was brilliant insight, Shabono. But no, I'm not leaving you with that. I will come back to you about my favorite genre of literature, the epistolatory format. But coming to Vibha. Well, Vibha, we personally, I know the kissas that you know that have happened with you also. But as a woman entrepreneur, what are the challenges that Kolkata gave you, and what is the muse that Kolkata gave you?
As a woman entrepreneur, there were no challenges really, because you know, Kolkata is a place where I grew up as a girl and lived as a woman. And I think it was very, very easy because you're well protected in the city because of the Dada culture. So
what culture?
Dada culture.
Dada culture.
So
okay.
even when I was 18 years old and there were no cell phones.
So you think Kolkata gives you dadas to protect didis? Okay.
Very
all right.
much. So you
Fabulous.
know, you just need to put on, like if you're in trouble, you just have to reach out and say, Dada ektu pachchina.
But Vibha, do you need, so do you think the dadas are the saviors of didis? Do you need a dada to save you, darling?
Not at all, not at all.
Right,
not
thank
at
you.
all.
Thank you.
But
Let's clap for that, ladies and gentlemen.
Not at
We
all.
don't need dadas
We don't
to
need
save
dadas
didis.
at all.
Yeah.
But, where you're looking over your shoulder in Delhi, where a Nirbhaya happened,
Right.
the likelihood of that happening in Calcutta is not so much. That's
Right.
what I really mean by the Dada culture.
I understand.
And you know, we have a sense of safety, the safety net around us. So as an entrepreneur, not only as a woman entrepreneur, just an entrepreneur, it's not easy in Calcutta.
It's not
Because
easy.
It's not easy. And, you know, everything, I hate to say it, I shout out against corruption. And I fight with the parking fee wala when he's charging 20 instead of 10. And I whisk out my phone and show him the news report. But it's pervades every strata of our society. How far will you fight and how far will you go?
Right.
So when I wanted my driving license renewed, I stood in the line in motor vehicles. Hours on end, it didn't happen. Then finally I greased the palms and got it done. I'm being very, very candid with you.
I understand.
So we use that to expedite, you know, issues and to make our life easier. And I've been an activist. In fact, I fought with policemen on the road for doing lots of wrong things. Now my family says, please don't pick up pangas with policemen. We can't rescue you. So as much as I would like to shake them up sometimes, and I think Calcutta as a city would allow you to do it also to some
Right.
extent.
Acceptance, yes. Acceptance. For
Again,
sure.
acceptance comes in.
For sure.
So these are the issues which is not only for a woman entrepreneur, not because I'm a woman, but it's for everyone across the board. It's not easy. You meet a roadblock everywhere. And you go to a bank, you know, there are, you know, kind of obstacles, there are, you know, kind of loopholes. And
I guess there are obstacles everywhere, but what you're primarily referring to is as the ones that comes on your way when you're setting up a new venture or dreaming big. Does that, you know, the discussion for this afternoon was Kolkata as a muse. I'm very tempted to ask all of you. I mean, it sounds romantic, but it's true. I mean, it's true for a filmmaker like Chatterjee, who we were discussing an hour back on this same stage, because this man had sculpted different layers of the city and its people in his films in so many diverse ways. So in some way or the other, without moving into lines written by Sunil Gangopadhyay or Gunter Grass or Mrinal Sen, the city allows you to dream. It gives you a dream. It tells you to become a dreamer. I want to ask Prajwal, has the city been a muse for you to dream? Has it caught your fancy for a few things which you probably want to write about someday? Can you answer that?
Sujoy, I've always been fascinated with the average Calcutan's passion for nostalgia. There's
Okay.
always this thing about Calcutta of the 60s, about the Calcutta of the 60s. You talk about the Christmas cakes at Flurries and so on and so forth.
The WhatsApp fast forwards, you know,
Well,
by Suhail Seth and all.
Yeah. Is it because you think the present is so unpalatable? As an outsider, I enjoyed living in Calcutta tremendously. I do not speak a word of Bengali. I have been wholly embraced by the city, despite not speaking the language at all.
Nice.
And I do think that, you know, like citizens of everywhere, we take what we have for granted. But I think we are, see, I just said I think we. I think you Calcuttans are always so apologetic about being from Calcutta. Don't you think so?
No, I don't get that point.
There's a degree of apology. Oh, hi, yeah, I come from Calcutta. It's,
Really?
yeah, you know, an economic dead zone. It's.
Oh, yeah, that's what Shabono's question was. I mean, I was talking. You want to answer that?
Well, as a Calcuttan, I vehemently deny this because I'm never ever apologetic about being from Kolkata. Never ever, never ever. Because I take a lot of pride in coming from Kolkata, even if I'm in Istanbul or in London or in New York. Let me tell you, I got the job of environmental program specialist in United Nations at New York headquarters. I left that job just because I wanted to be in Calcutta.
Wow, man,
I
that's
just wanted to
great.
be in Kolkata. So I take a lot of pride in being from Kolkata and within Kolkata. In fact, whenever I go outside of Kolkata for even 2 days, I have that eternal longing for return. I feel so good sitting on my flight to come back to Kolkata, have my fish curry. You were talking of fish curry and rice. Yes,
True.
I love that. I love that. I love to be a Bengali. I hate being called a bong.
10 minutes to go.
Can I say
Yeah,
something?
Mane.
Can I say
Yes,
something?
Marina, please. আমি just একটাই কথা বলছিলাম বাঙালি জেগেছে. Yes. Yeah.
Dream of everybody. We dream of many things in Kolkata. So I also dream on behalf of each and every people with disability that we should also have equal participants
Absolutely.
in everywhere so that people are friendly with us and they take us as casually, like it is not like, oh, and handicapped people, a handicapped person has come today. No, it should be like, yes, we have a friend, we know about disability. We have a friend who is differently able and we know about them. So this will make us included in the society with every one of you.
Thank you, Marina. Thank you for echoing a very important sentiment across the panel that Kolkata should be a city not just living in the 60s, as Prajwal rightly said, and I endorse that wholeheartedly. We should look forward to a muse which stands tall irrespective of caste, creed, sex, or gender, or anything that is discriminating. With that, I will come back to all of you for questions. And before I open the questions for all of you, I would just sing 2 lines for Calcutta with a very famous song by Moshumi Bhumik, just a few lines for all of you. আমি খুঁজছি তোমার ঠিকানা অলি গলি ঘুরে ক্লান্ত তবু তোমায় পাচ্ছি না তুমি বলেছিলে সেই দিন সেই ব্যস্ত সকালে এসো নিশ্চয় এসো একবার আমাদের মিছিলে তাই ইচ্ছে হলো জানতে কিভাবে দাবির কথা তুলে কেমন সবাই হাত ধরে ধরে গান গেয়ে পথ চলে এসে দেখি আমি ধর্মতলার চার কোণে চার ধার সব নানা সুরে বলে একই কথা আমার সঙ্গে চল এত শব্দ এত চিৎকার তবু কি নিদারুণ দৈন্য একই স্লোগানে নানা গন্ধ তুমি কোথায় ছিলে অনন্য আমি খুঁজছি তোমার ঠিকানা অলি গলি ঘুরে ক্লান্ত তবু তোমায় পাচ্ছি না Questions from the audience? Yes. We would need a microphone to reach the audience, please. Please introduce yourself.
Hello. Yes. My name is Deepshubhra Chakravarti. I like the session especially. My question is to Mr. Sabarna Roy. How do you think we can improve our ease of doing business or our attractiveness as an investment destination?
Well, I think one of the things is that I think a lot of improvements have been done in the last 10-15 years, and I think one of the businesses that you can bring in today to places like Kolkata and its suburbs is the IT sector. This has to be understood very clearly, first of all. And secondly, the manufacturing sector itself is going through a lot of excess expansion already having been done. So people are not going to come into Kolkata or its suburbs to expand their businesses because expansions are already, I mean, people have already have made excess expansions either within India or outside of India in China. So you can expect the investment from the IT sector to come in, and it is coming in a major way, In fact, since the last 3-4 years during the left front regime, and it's continuing in the Trinamool regime also. And I think bureaucracy it's reducing day by day, and I think a lot of business summits are happening. I think this will increase investments coming in India, in West Bengal. But if you expect manufacturing sector to come in India in a major way, that's not going to happen. In my own sector, I can tell you, in the iron and steel sector today, the war that is raging between Russia and Ukraine, that's hitting up the coking coal prices and the iron ore prices in a major way. So the input costs have gone up to the extent where the existing capacities are not getting booked. So there is a problem. Yeah, there is a problem.
Right. Yeah. Any other question from Calcutta? Yes, Nishtoy. Just one. Bolun.
Sujoy, my name is Soikat Ghosh. I'm an engineer by profession. I've worked in NTPC for 34 years.
Yes.
I was posted in most of the time in remote corners of the country, like Singrauli, 2,100 megawatt, Rihang 3,000 megawatt, and Farakka. I want to highlight some strength of the city. 3 strengths I will highlight.
No, we are only taking questions, Shoikat Babu, and you've already asked your question in the first.
One thing I want to tell that why the logistics system of the city is not improving. It is my
but that has been pointed out by Shabun.
And another thing, very important thing, the heritages should be
Preserved.
awarded. A lot of heritages are there. In the
I
city.
agree. I agree.
Why it is not being awarded properly?
Thank you. Thank you. Iditi, you had a question, please. Thank you, Shaukat Babu.
Hi, good afternoon. This has been a great session.
Thank you.
One of my affections for Calcutta, right from childhood, when I used to come here to visit it from abroad and from Bombay also, was the not only tolerance but acceptance of human eccentricities.
Yeah.
In all our families, we had the Kappa Pishi
Yes.
or the Kappa Mama. Uni Orokomi. You know, I mean, that was just one. And I think that goes into also disabilities. And that's why we're finding it easier to maybe learn to accept it. What I think we are struggling with is this pressure on us to be like the rest of India. Why? Why?
Very well said.
What is wrong with being a poet? What is wrong with me walking on the streets early in the morning and singing to myself? What is wrong if I walk with a limp?
Yes.
There is nothing wrong. And why do I need tall buildings?
Of course. Of course. There are actually two issues that... sure,
2
please.
minutes
Please.
left.
Thank you.
I fully agree with what you said, madam, because we don't have to be like the rest of India, because we are much ahead of the rest of India in terms of agriculture, in terms of intellectual output. So I think when people talk of industries, the dichotomy I raised about between Ruposhi Bangla and industries is something there to stay, and people have to answer it for themselves. And I think we have to look at the positives that we have.
Of course.
As Calcutta, as from West Bengal, because I seriously believe in it. I seriously believe in it.
And to add to what Iditi just pointed out, that kappa or eccentricity, leaving that behind, Kolkata has also been a very important seat of advancement of work on mental health, which is fabulous, because we have activists like Ratnaboli Ray in the city who's actually representing the mental health sector of the state to the rest of the diaspora. And a very important point, we don't have to be like the Delhiites. We don't have to be like a Mumbaiker. We are a Calcuttan. We live by our own spirit. Thank you very much for saying that. One last question to the gentleman there. Yes, the gentleman there with the raising hand. There. Right there. He's there. He's there. Yes. Yeah.
1 minute left. Request you to keep it short.
1
please.
minute left, right? Thank you. 60 seconds. Wow. A lot of time.
Thank you, Sujoy.
Thank you.
You all the panelists. Your electrifying and androgynous personality really fascinates me like anything, but I would like to just recite a few lines from Ketuki Kushari Dyson's poem,
Please carry on.
Calcutta. It has been indited by Buddhadev Boshu, but it has been competently translated by Ketuki Kushari Dyson.
Sure.
Because you don't soothe like a mother. Because you don't soothe like a mother, but like a charmer asked to be won over.
Bah.
Because you invite magnanimously, reject cruelly, reciprocate lavishly. Therefore have I loved you infinitely, mysterious, sexy Calcutta.
Lovely. Beautiful. Beautiful. Coming to the question here. Aparajita has a question. Yes. The gentleman with the floral shirt, I will come to you.
Yeah.
You had a question. I will come to
I'm
you.
sorry, this will have to be the last question.
Yes.
Thank you.
I have
more.
a very brief question for you, Sujoy.
Yes.
I know that you have introduced the immersive theatre
Yes.
in Calcutta, which is a very unique kind of experience.
Right.
And is it still going on?
Yes, we just
and
did a season.
Is it modeled on Sleep No More, like they do in New York?
No, not New York. My experience was more with the mayor's old house in Toronto, city of Toronto, where they transformed that old house, which is into shambles. They resurrected it, the state resurrected it, and it gave it to an arts collective to do a theater there, which was like an entourage into the rooms of that house, where the audience was led there to pay a ticket price of $60, a drink on the way to the staircase that leads to the whole big living room, and then for 3 hours you become a part of the play in the house. That was fascinating for me. One last question. Yes. Over
Really
there.
sorry, but we are out of time. I would request the panel to please say their thank
Yes.
yous and make way for the next speech.
Just
thank
one-
you so. Really
one-
sorry. Really, really sorry.
Okay. All right.
Thank you
Well, thank
so
you very
much.
much, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize to the gentleman there, but we are short of time. Thank you to all the panelists who had given us time. Thank you, Kolkata Literature Festival. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.